Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 10th of May, and you can see that while we've had this nice steady rise, it's sort of gotten kind of malaisey. It's just sort of meandering now, and that's just because we had that 2,400 resistance every time we're going to hit there. We're meeting some selling, and so this is interesting. After we've had the fun buy-in that moved things up as much as it did, there just haven't been enough shorts to really propel it. We're sort of in a neutral right here. You got both the red, cyan, everybody's all compacted right here, which means we're just in a sideways motion. What we've noticed though is the short-term buyers fading out just a little bit, and that's created a little bit of the softness going in here. And ideally you would want to see the orange pretty much stay right where it is. Otherwise, come back down would give you an indication that there's a reset for another round of buying. At this particular point, I think we're just in a soft period. NASDAQ has just been on a complete tear, and it's getting to the point probably where it's got a little bit too much froth, and it's the disparity between the S&P and the NASDAQ and Dow that's going to create a little bit more of a retrace when we start to get a little bit of softness, because the NASDAQ is so far ahead, or we're going to have a catch-up of the S&P and Dow. So that's where you would look for potential move. Euro is just backfilling into the positive extremes. Nothing out of the ordinary for what we expected. We were looking for this area to get filled back in, and it has. Still relatively strong. The problem has been that these pops of the orange above the 13.5 has led to pullback, and despite the euphoria of Macron winning talks about Greek debt relief, the reality is nothing's going to change, and that's a little bit of a problem for the euro, and particularly if U.S. rates are still set to continue their increase. It makes the U.S. a little bit more attractive than Europe, but stability in the euro should keep things right in the range that we're expecting. If we get a little more pressure on there, we'll have to see if there's any deterioration in banking in Europe. TLT. We're right at the borderline here of turnaround point. I mean, obviously we had the moves up here where we had sell signals, and that started all the way back, over here with the first signal, and then you ended up again moving above as we continue to decay. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Same with the oil. And you can see how clear it is when it takes place, and we just keep showing these because they become strong points every time. I mean, actually I can add another one to back over there as well. You pop above there, and it doesn't take much. Now, can you always predict the extent to which the decline is going to be? Working on that one, and that will be extraordinarily helpful if we're able to get a targeted approach to how much of a decline. What we know, though, is that there's going to be selling within that setup, and look at this continued decline in the shakeout. Sort of reached that extreme oversold here, but you know what? Look at that. We're failing, and then the green still couldn't pass. So more softness for oil. And gold still continuing that sells. Like we said, it's going to be attractive when it's ready for a turnaround. Filling in, we'd have to shrink this chart quite a bit to see what we're filling in from. There was the dip right here below the red line, and we're just coming back to that from the breakout. And this was a lot of the fear factor leading up to the French election, and we ended up with several signals here in decaying shakeouts. The first one, when it first signals, it's a little bit tougher because you're rising, and fine, you had, in this case, an extreme oversold. You didn't have that case over here where we already had a lower shakeout, and then it was an immediate turnaround right there. We even got the A3 right at the exact same spot. So even though it would have signaled short there, we could see that the turnaround took place really quick and got oversold, but still gave no issues as far as the turnaround point. And that's the key, because market dynamics can change, and that's the reality of it. I mean, we ended up with it right here where we got way up there on the 5K after that slow build that finally led to the peak, and then boom, and sure enough, that has led to the weakness that we've been seeing all along here. I've had a couple little soft buy signals, not particularly great when it's in declining azure blue, cyan, the shakeout here where you see the yellow and all of those, when they're declining, those little turnarounds, sometimes they just provide just a tiny little short-term pop, and you have to watch out for DOC spreads at that particular point, and that's exactly what happened right there after it, and boom, you ended up with a new low retrace, and then the same thing right there, couldn't sustain itself, and stayed decent until boom, it started to pop up as soon as the open took place, and we started to fade a little bit more, and we're now caught in a flat zone of it, and so because of that, it's not going to bounce it just yet. So we'll have to wait a little bit further for that. I think it's pretty much in line. We're probably going to see a little bit more difficulty for things to rise unless there's some new exciting economic news, because the word on Obamacare situation is not going anywhere. That fine, you had one house repeal it. It is not going to change the underlying aspect of. There's a lot of work that has to be done on that, and it's a slow move, and that I think is starting to. It's not causing a discouragement in the market. It's just not causing the euphoria that the buildup led to. So now it's a wait and see kind of consolidation. As always, though, I will keep putting up charts as they're warranted. It was a pretty soft day, so there really wasn't a whole lot happening before, and I'm working on some of these adjustments to the ABM, so that will be additional exciting changes that are taking place with that. So, as always, though, trade well, and we'll talk again later.